In April 2009, Sadhguru conducted, in the lap of the Master, a special 3-day satsang at Isha Yoga Center. Music by Sounds of Isha set their very own tone, while an array of cultural programs added color and flavor. Insightful discourses by Sadhguru prepared the soil. Question and answer sessions allowed the participants to delve deeper into their spiritual quest. Powerful meditation processes made the spiritual seed sprout into an experiential reality. This video shares precious moments spent in the presence of a self-realized yogi and mystic. Enjoy a spiritual exploration that leads us from the profane to the most profound.
Human memory is a fabulous thing. It's because of this ability to remember. We have science, we have technology, we have a civilization, we have information technology. It's all about memory, isn't it? But at the same time, it's human memory which is the source of all bondage. What you call as karma is just memory on different levels of life. Memory is like a doorway. A doorway can open, but also it can close. If doors open for you, you experience doors as beautiful things. If doors close in your face, you always remember doors as horrible things. Isn't it so? In your life, if doors are opening for you wherever you go, you see door as a very wonderful thing. But if it's always slamming in your face, door is a horrible thing. Memory is just like this. Memory is what has given us the ability to be informed. It is because we are capable of making ourselves informed about various things. Many beautiful things have happened in our lives, many. The very basis of civilization is memory. Today, what goes as learning is simply memory, isn't it? When you were in school or college or whatever, education, please take the memory stick off the cell phone. Someone is asking me, Sadhguru, shall we put a jammer, cell phone jammer in the temple and in the Spanda hall? I said, jam the cell phone users, not the cell phone. Because technology is not the problem. Irresponsible usage is the problem, isn't it? It's made our lives good, but many people are using technology to make their lives ugly, very ugly. It can nurture and it can nurture human life, it can save human life. But many people are using it to take human life, to take the life of the planet itself. So memory is just like that. Because memory is the fundamental ingredient for all technology. Memory transmitted from generation to generation. That is how. If your father knew how to do one stitch, you learned how to make the second stitch, and your children learned the third stitch. This is how things have happened. But if you did not remember the first stitch, reinventing the wheel all the time, nothing would have happened, isn't it? Just intelligence would not have led to civilization. Memory is important. At the same time, memory also makes your life repetitive, not receptive, simply repetitive. When you carry a certain volume of memory within you, life becomes repetitive, automatic. All sense of being human, all the possibilities of being spontaneous, all the possibility of exploring new terrain in one's life gets obliterated because of memory. As I said, it's like a doorway. It all depends whether it's opening for you or closing for you. When people try to learn by sheer memory, many things happen. And a lot of so-called culture and civilization is a product of that, sheer memory, not much intelligence in it. Together, they are a deadly combination. Just memory is simply repetitiveness. One of the Isha meditators from United States wanted to come for samyama program in India. They would like to have their own samyama program, but we're still denying it to them for a variety of reasons. So, they have to come to India. Last 4 years, he's been planning and planning, but he has a cat that he loves. And to leave the cat for more than 2 weeks and come to India has been very difficult. You know, the cat. He divorced his wife about 6 years ago. So he has no such problems. But the cat, and slowly these 4 years, people coming here and going back and saying either fabulous or horrible stories about samyama. See, both of them stimulate you. Some people come from samyama and say fabulous stories about it. Some people come out of samyama and say horrible stories about it, because it's the way you make it for yourself. Slowly, he became little more dispassionate and he decided to come. So he handed his cat over to his brother. And then he traveled to India, landed at the Chennai airport. The moment he cleared the customs, first thing he did was, he borrowed a volunteer's phone who had come to receive the US meditators who were landing that day. And he said, I need to make a call to United States. Okay. So he called his brother. And first thing he asked, how is the cat? The brother said, cat is dead. He said, what? Cat dead? He screamed and yelled and cried. And then he said, okay, it's dead. We can always get another cat. But don't you have any sensitivity? Couldn't you say in a gentler way, simply barking, cat is dead? Is there no sensitivity at all in you? Then the brother asked, okay, what was I supposed to say? It's dead. I can understand it's dead, but couldn't you say something? Couldn't you say, the cat went up to the rooftop, there it rained heavily and he got soaked, and you called the fire brigade, and you went up and you got it down, and you took all the care, put him in the cat hospital, but he got pneumonia, and he passed on, but peacefully. Something. There is no sign of civilization in you. What is this? Cat is dead. Then he said, okay, next time I'll try. Then he said, all right, how are you? He said, I'm doing well. How is mother? Well, she went up to the roof. Lot of civilization has become like this because information that travels from generation to generation gets stored in different ways and so much distortion. And now you can't look at anything straight the way it is. Minds get so deeply conditioned that you can't look at anything straight anymore. This was only a 26-year-old young man from India who went to United States as a software engineer. And he was there for more than 2.5 years, doing well before the meltdown. And it so happened, I had to go to his apartment because I was transiting between two programs and I had to just change. And his apartment was in the most convenient place. And I went and he was struggling around, he was alone in the house. Sadhguru, is there something that you want, this? I said, don't bother, I just need water. And I opened the refrigerator. There I saw cans and cans of yogurt or curd. Because the boy doesn't know how to cook much, so he's just making rice and curd. After all, he's from Tamil Nadu, Thair Sadham. He's got bottles of pickle and lots of curd. Cook the rice, you got something going. So I looked at this curd and it had gelatin in it. And I knew this boy's family background. And I said, "You're eating this curd with gelatin?" He said, "What is that?" I said, "Well, gelatin comes from the cow's gums, dead ones, and it is mixed with yogurt because of certain keeping quality, and you're eating it, is it okay with you? If you not eat, it's up to you. If you're eating unknowingly." And he felt so distressed. He struggled because he didn't want to eat cow's gums, but they mix it with the yogurt. And he struggled and he couldn't stay in United States. In another 4 months or so, 4 or 6 months, he left his job and traveled back to Chennai to eat fresh curd. Just the way culture shapes you. Culture is just memory. Memory, the negative terminology for memory is brainwashing or conditioning, or it's a kind of internal hypnosis. Now, the whole revulsion that is happening in his body and his mind is genuine. Cow is not biting from inside, but his revulsion is genuine, he's really struggling. Every other American is not eating just the gums of the cow, the whole cow, and they got no problem. Cow doesn't bite from inside, but just the idea is so strong in your mind. Now, actually every cell in your body will revolt. It's not just psychological, even physiologically things will happen to you. If nobody had told you, you would be happily eating the yogurt. But now the revulsion is so deep and he couldn't handle it. So what you call as culture is just memory. What you call as civilization is just memory. Memory is not useless, memory is useful. But if you do not know how to keep it aside, that becomes your biggest bondage, because life becomes repetitive. When you're repetitive, you cannot be receptive. Receptivity happens because you kept your repetitiveness aside. If you can become primal, not primitive, primal, but conscious, oblivious of who you are, what you are, your civilization, your culture, your nonsense, your God, your devil, everything. If you can be oblivious of everything that you think you are, after all, it's just a thought. Whatever you think about yourself is just a thought, isn't it? No? No, I'm an Indian, it's just a thought. If we erase your memory and push you across the border, you will be shooting at us tomorrow. Isn't it? This has been done in so many ways, in the form of religion, in the form of education, in the form of all kinds of teachings, to psych you to believe that you're something. Now scientists are coming up with more surefire, quicker, easier ways of doing things. Isn't it so? It's already been done. But in future, it will so happen that we can make an electronic chip which tells you, you're an Indian, you're a Hindu, you're this, you're that, whatever you like, you can program it, put it inside. Only the best thing is, you can pull out the chip and meditate. That'll be the only great thing about technology. So everything that you should be, a chip is put inside and you will behave like a perfect Indian, because your whole culture is programmed in a small chip. Nobody, your parents don't have to strive with half-baked knowledge how to make you a proper Hindu or a proper Christian or a proper Muslim. Just buy the Hindu chip. You think, feel and act like one. But if it is not implanted in the brain, if it's an external attachment, it'll be a good thing because you could take it off and sit. Now you're unable to take it off, that's the whole problem. There are various stories to indicate the nature of what this is. There are so many stories as to how people always thought Shiva was so uncouth, uncivilized, uncultured, without any lineage, does not belong to any caste or creed. People thought he's no good because he doesn't have a lineage. If you ask him, who is your father, he doesn't know. And he's uncouth. But they couldn't help worshipping him because he's intense. But nothing civilized about him, nothing at all. His friends were worse. He kept such friendship with all kinds of demons and goblins and distorted beings that people saw him as a very uncivilized, uncouth, uncultured man. So Parvati fell in love with Shiva and she wants to marry him. She's a princess. Her parents have not seen him. On the day of the wedding, he arrives. All the guests came, all the kings and queens and gods and goddesses, everybody arrived in procession, one more beautiful than the other, all dressed up. But then Shiva came, naked, ash-smeared, inebriated. Nobody knew what he's drunk upon. But he was inebriated and all his friends were inebriated. They came. Parvati's mother, Meena, she saw, said, "What? You are going to marry this man?" And she fainted. She could not imagine handing over her daughter to this man. And later on the wedding ceremony, they sat down and at the time of like in India, when the wedding happens, people talk about the lineage of the family. The girl comes from a great lineage, her father is a king, so many wonderful things were said. Then they asked, what about the groom's lineage? What is his gotram? What is his nakshatram? And under what star was he born? He simply sat silent. They asked him, please tell us, because your parents are not here, you must at least tell your parents, your lineage, what family you come from, what caste, what creed, at least what star you're born under. They repeatedly asked him. He said nothing, simply said. Almost uninterested in the wedding. Then Narada came in to save the situation. Why I'm telling you this is, when we talk about Shiva, we are not talking about a nice civilized man. He's as beautiful as life can be. But as life is, today it is little cloudy, tomorrow it could be pouring, day after tomorrow it could be burning. It's just like that, just like life. Not just like life, he's just life. He's not a pretension, he's not repetitive in any way, he's simply life. What are you? What are you? What somebody taught you. Every single thought, emotion, action is the way somebody taught you. Only if you're here as life, we can make you grow, we can make you blossom. If you're here as a bundle of memory that you picked up from somebody, all half-baked people. If you're just a bundle of memory, then what's there to do? Let me add a few more tidbits to your memory bag. You know, wherever I go, particularly the more educated the crowds are, the more they want to write down. I say, don't write down, just be with me. No, we've already seen your face, we remember. We want to write down what you say. In so many ways I tell them, don't bother, just be, because you won't get anything by writing down the words. All you will do is you'll have to buy a new memory stick after some time. So many things are being told. And they won't make any sense after some time because I'm not trying to say anything at all. So the process of what you call as spiritual is not a psychological process. Your memory has nothing to do with it. It's a life process, it's an existential process. This can only happen if you allow yourself to be just a piece of life that you are. To do this, we do many things here and you might have seen people in the ashram walking around with those orange tags. You've seen the silence tags people are wearing. Just shut up. Because shutting your mouth is only half the job. To become silent is possible only when you do not think much of yourself. If you think something about yourself, if you think, I'm smart, how can you shut up? You tell me. If you think, I'm smart, how can you shut up? If you realize that you're actually stupid, you don't know anything in this existence, then, isn't it? Then you can simply look at life with great sense of wonder, without a thought appearing in your mind. If you think you are smart about everything, You got explanations and calculations and nonsense going on in your head. If you see one thing, 1,000 thoughts will go off, isn't it? You're not sitting here in the satsang totally silent. You're agreeing with me, disagreeing with me, making comments within yourself, making comments about the clothes that somebody is wearing next to you, appreciating it, depreciating it. Everything is happening. Am I wrong? Because the moment you think there is some value to what you think, then you can't stop it. No way to stop it. It'll just go on and on and on. When you see there is absolutely no life value to your thought process, it is just memory recycling itself. It is just the same old nonsense recycling itself. But if you're excited, if you're enamored by this recycle, if you think it's great, you cannot stop it. If you see the patterns of what it is, if you see the stupidity of what it is, then slowly you will distance yourself and it'll collapse. Because without attention, it cannot go on.
Namaste Sadhguru. A month back, my mother passed away, 15th of March, and the rituals I was involved with. I come from Andhra Pradesh, and in our community, Brahmins, it is so long, sometimes they're very painful. I don't know what is the meaning of it, and if one doesn't do, it's not considered nice. I have done all those things, but I was not very convinced with what I have done. That really was paining me.
Convinced about what?
Convinced about what all I was asked to go through. When I asked why I am asked to do, I was not given any explanation. Each point, there was lots of variance.
Whoever conducted all this, did you pay them or did you run away here?
What all they demanded, I
You paid them, then the job is done.
Yeah,
No problem.
I had done that.
There are different types of professions. Everybody has to live in this world.
True. Only on that consideration, whatever they asked without, I simply paid all of it. The point is, every month we are expected to do the same thing. I would definitely do that. But I'm not convinced with what they have done.
Villains. Mother died, that's bad enough. For you, your mother died. It's a big thing. But you need to understand, somebody's mother is not dead, they have to live. Their mother, their wife, their children, they all have to live. So, we complicated these things in so many ways. At the same time, is there no basis at all to this? No, there is a basis. It is unfortunately over a period of time, people distort it and exaggerate things in such a way that it just becomes commerce. You feel that somebody is making a business out of your mother's death, you feel angry about it, frustrated about it. But This is a perpetual business, whatever meltdown happens. People will continue to die. Such an opportunity when it's there, how to let it go? It's a perpetual business. And so many people did not treat their mothers well when they were alive. At least for those 12 days or 13 days, they want to do something to feel psychologically free from that. And compared to the fees that the psychiatrists charge these days, this is not much. They're still only asking for cupfuls of rice, cupfuls of grams, cupfuls of nuts and this and that. Maybe they asked you for a cow. Footwear, umbrella, milk, umbrella. See, your dead mother definitely cannot use the umbrella, nor does she need the umbrella, isn't it? If you did not have a body, we would have had the satsang outside now, isn't it? Only because you have a body, it gets soaked, it gets sick, all these problems. If you did not have a body, we could have just continued the satsang outside, isn't it? Only because you have a body, you need a roof. Where there is no roof, you need an umbrella. Footwear also, the same thing, head or foot, same problems. But there is somebody else living who needs all these things. Long time ago, there were some people who could do a genuine job on these things. When a person dies, there are many ways to die. Not everybody dies the same way. Not everybody lives the same way. Not everybody dies the same way. When I say not everybody lives the same way, last 3 days, all of you are getting up at the same time, all of you eating the same food, all of you going through the same things, but still not all of you are living the same way, even in these 3 days. Each individual person is living his own way these 3 days, isn't it so? So what makes you think you'll all die the same way? You will not die the same way. Right now, if a piece of sky falls upon us and all of us get crushed and die, still we don't die the same way. We may die in the same situation, but we don't die the same way. So different people die different ways. And when people die in certain ways, a little bit of assistance would do very good things to them. If there was somebody here aware enough, capable enough to do something about it. This man who came and took the cow from you, you actually gave the cow or just the money? Huh? That's okay. Simply bringing the cow, taking it back, selling again is too much unnecessary transaction. This is okay. This is all right. See, I'm not against commerce. It is just that we must be straight enough to say, this is commerce. When we thought of starting businesses in Isha, I gave a very… it's not like me, but I gave a very gross name to that, Isha business. People said, Sadhguru, this sounds too… I said, I know it, but I want it that way so that never people mistake Isha Foundation and Isha business. Business is business. If you come there, we'll handle things in a certain way. You come to the foundation, it's a different business. It's a completely different business. This is not commerce. That's commerce. We'll handle commerce as commerce should be handled. Spiritual process should be handled as spiritual process should be handled. But most of the time, people are mixing up the two. They're trying to handle business like a spiritual process and spiritual process generally like a business. This is going on everywhere. It happened that an airplane took off from Austin in Texas. You know Texas? It's a very godly place. And within a few minutes after it took off, when it was sufficiently away from the airport, suddenly they found the engines were failing and the pilot announced, "I really don't know what to do. I don't have enough time even to turn around, I don't have enough altitude to turn around and get back. We just don't know what to do. If somebody knows something religious to do, please do it." He told the passengers. So one man immediately got up, took off his hat and went about collecting money. So, this man who came and collected money for the cow that is supposed to be exported for your mother's use up there, somewhere way back, I don't know how many generations ago, his great-great-great-great-super-great-grandfather knew what to do about your mother. But these fools did not learn anything over generations. Now they're just doing business. They knew what to do. So in the first, if a person dies in a certain way, you want me to go into all these death issues? Huh? No, they want to know what happened to all their enemies. That's all. Essentially, naturally, if death happens, why death is happening is because these life energies are programmed in a certain way. There are different dimensions of karma. One that you're in touch with right now is referred to as prarabdha. This is a certain software. So, a certain amount of prarabdha is there within you. So life process is working it out. If life has to be embodied, it must be in a certain level of intensity, a certain range of intensity, a certain band of… like certain frequency, it must be there. If it becomes too intense and goes above, it will leave the body. Then we say, he attained samadhi, because life energies became too intense that the physical body cannot contain it anymore. Or if it becomes feeble beneath a certain point, then it'll slip out. This is called dying naturally out of old age. People just lie down, close their eyes and people died of old age. Nothing broke. Nothing broke. His liver didn't go wrong, his kidneys didn't go wrong, his heart didn't go wrong. Simply life became feeble and slipped out. That means he lived his full term. Whatever this particular life was programmed for, it saw its full course, so it leaves. But very few rare human beings leave because of excessive intensity. A few, a certain number leave because of old age. Most of the others die because something broke. Either you crashed your car, or you smoked yourself to death, or you drank yourself to death, or something else broke, you worked yourself to death, whatever. In some way, you made the physical body inhospitable for life. Something went wrong in this mechanism, now it cannot host a life, so life leaves. But still it is in a certain level of intensity that it could have continued to embody for a much longer period. When life leaves like this, then it cannot find another body immediately, it has to hang. Let's say, no, I don't want to take you or your mother as example. Let us say somebody had, by normal course, he would have died after 10 years. But today, because of excessive work or stress or whatever, his heart broke and he died today. 10 more years were there for him approximately. This all depends how he lives. This 10 years, if he lives in a certain way, it could be worked out in 2 years or it could be worked out in 20 years, it depends on various things. But let us assume there were 10 years approximate life. But he left the body. Because he's left the body, because he's lost the discriminatory mind, because he's lost the ability to perform any kind of karma as such, because of this, these 10 years may be 100 years without the body. With the body, with a discriminatory mind, this would have been over in 10 years. But without the body, without a discriminatory mind, this may take 100 years or 500 years, we do not know. It depends on various things, depending upon the karmic substance, what kind of karmic substance he carries. Knowing these things, because most people die of infections and diseases and ailments and things, so we created a whole science as to how to help them beyond their body. We could not help them when they were in the body because we couldn't figure out what is the ailment, what is the disease. Now he did not get the treatment, something happened, he died. Now we want to help him in such a way that he dissolves this quick, that he doesn't hang around for too long. So there is a whole science behind that. So this man for whom you gave the cow money, you are giving him because his great-great-super-great-grandfather knew what to do. So you are still paying him for that knowledge that the super-grandfather knew. But this fool also should have learnt, but somewhere it all got dislocated. Now it's just become a plain ritual that he's learnt a few mantras and you don't know what it is to check. He could be abusing you in Sanskrit. As you felt terrible about him, he must have looked at you and he was abusing you in Sanskrit language. You don't know. Probably you were cursing him and he was cursing you and cow business is happening, but nothing else is happening. So, these things have unfortunately happened because modern societies are becoming more and more superficial by the day, more and more superficial by the day, for which we'll pay a price, here and hereafter. In both we will pay a very big price because we are becoming extremely superficial with the life process. So, what used to be a very essential science, a very essential understanding of life, because everybody dies, everybody loses somebody who is dear to them. Some point in our life, we will lose somebody who is dear to us. Definitely we would like to see that something nice happens to them. So we had means for all these things, but now, we are all English educated, we are ashamed of these things. Isn't it? We got English educated and we are ashamed of these things because now your mother's death is a mumbo-jumbo. Is it? Is it? Your mother's death is a mumbo-jumbo or a reality? Was your mother a reality? Now she's gone. Is it a reality? Yes. Don't forget that. This is not mumbo-jumbo. There are things, the various aspects to life. We are hoping to build a certain group of people in Isha to whom we can impart certain things. So we are raising some children, hoping that they will grow in the right tradition, that we can teach them some simple things about life, which are very vital. It's very, very vital. Maybe they won't become engineers and doctors. See, this is also like cow business only, you know. Somebody is doing it after death. Somebody else is making business out of somebody's health and life and death, isn't it? Isn't it so? Isn't all those things which should not have business have become business, isn't it? See, there are a few things which should never be commercialized. Education, health, spiritual process. These three things should never be commercialized. Once these three things are commercialized, that society is heading down. It may take some time, but it'll head down. We are picking that up in India in a big way now. So we will see an economic boom because cow business will happen a lot for some time and then we will head down. There is no other way. So a few things should be kept off commerce. It's extremely important. That is why we are looking for volunteers all the time. So that dedicated people conduct certain things, not people who are looking for livelihood.
You are my perfect mirror, you show me what I'm not. In the endless pit of what once was me, layer and layer you peel off me. The pain it is, but the joy it brings. So thank you for showing me what I'm not, for showing me what I could be.